poem shall speak of the wretched sea that washed ships to these shores, of mothers crying for their young swallowed up by the sea. This poem shall say nothing new. This poem shall speak of time, time unlimited, time undefined. This poem shall call names, names like Lumumba, Kenyatta, Nkrumah, Hannibal, Akhenaton, Malcolm, Garvey, Haile Selassie. This poem is vexed about apartheid, racism, fascism, the Ku Klux Klan, riots in Brixton, Atlanta, Jim Jones. This poem is revolting against first world, second world, third world, division, man-made decision. This poem is like all the rest. This poem will not be amongst great literary works, will not be recited by poetry enthusiasts. It will not be quoted by politicians or men of religions. This poem is knives, bombs, guns, blood, fire, blazing for freedom. Yes, this poem is a drum, Ashanti, Ma, Igbo, Yoruba, Nyabingi warriors, Yohuro, Namibia, Yohuro Sweater. Order. Now my court is in session.
Yeah, good evening, IRFM family. This is the Cutting Edge. I'm Jahlani Niaah, sitting in for Muta, who is in Nigeria. And I also have here with me in the studio a co-host, so to speak, my student and teacher at the same time, Oral Medin, Taylor, Gabri Medin, we also know him as.
Yes, I give thanks and praise unto the Cutting Edge family, Name is Host Gabri Medin, and give thanks to be here. And, holding a vibes with Jahlani Niaah, Dr. Jahlani Niaah. Give thanks.
Seeing, we're just trying to keep your company for the next few hours, holding the fort while Muta is away. Muta, the great teacher himself, has taught them well. We're going to go to break now.
You hear that? If you have it, exhibit royal habits.
Yeah, royal habits. Listening to the song of Midnight. Before that, we heard Mutabaruka, this poem, and People's Court. And we also heard from Fragrance and Chronics. Once more, we give thanks for the opportunity to sit in for Muta. Tremendous honor, Muta, signal Pan-African teacher who has set a really strong tradition here with this cutting-edge tradition. Tonight we have an interesting program lined up for you. A friend of mine would say the whole world is in trouble and nobody know God. There's so much in front of us at this time at various different levels. I want to big up all of the ones listening, the ones from east to west across the island, Running African family, the Cutting Edge family, all the Pan-African programming family, Kensington, Mansionil, Johnson Mountain, Bath, Yallas, right round, Charlestown, you name it, Bull Bay, UA, Massive, Mannings Hill, all around the country who might be listening at this time. We know that you sacrifice much to stay with us. Tonight, we are faced with the World Cup fever, so we want to talk a little about that. We have joining us for that conversation a scholar who is no stranger to IRFM, who has done work on Reggae Boys and the Road to France and the idea of football's industrialization. We also have conversation about the situation emerging around Scott's Pass. Seems as though there are some issues related to some of its occupants. And then we also want to talk somewhat about that trot to Ethiopia, which you were on, Medin.
Yeah, give thanks. Give thanks to His Majesty, for the strength and the protection,
Seeing. And at that time, when we bring up that conversation, you can give ones your impression of Africa, Ethiopia, your first trod in, even though you're not a stranger to travel. We'll be joined by ones from Ethiopia for that conversation. And then we have, as our featured set of music, some sounds from Midnight you're hearing, Royal Habits from the Anthology album. I want to, at this time, move straight into our first conversation, which is linked to the World Cup. You know, how that off-the-ball conversation is happening, especially as it relates to Africa and the emerging world and football. I think we already have on the phone line our consultant, Iman Black, Dr. Davis.
Yes, sir. Give thanks.
Blessed. Greetings.
Professor. Yeah.
How are you doing, my brother?
I'm doing better.
You're doing better. It sounds as though you're a Brazil fan based on that comment.
Say again.
I said that comment sounds as though you're a recovering Brazil fan.
No, I just improve my life daily, you know.
I see. Okay, wonderful.
Yes,
that's exactly what we want to have you help us with. I thought that it might be useful for someone like you who did work at the highest level, looking at the theory, thinking, practice of Jamaican football in particular, and the things that are necessary to see it make that leap into this superstar league that we see FIFA controlling. I know that there is a developed understanding that you can help us to navigate as far as what FIFA represents, and even what might be described as the performance of Africa within this context. But one of the conversations that I'm keenly interested in is the idea of fandom. You know, how it is that at times like these, the most African of us become decidedly branded by colors of the imperialists, Europe, and then people tell you it's football, so don't even bother bring no. Yeah, so Dan, that's basically,
You know, that football is really driven, let us say, a lot by emotion, because it's really grounded in the human desire to play. So fundamentally, all human beings enjoy playing. Even the animals themselves engage in a lot of play. So it's an activity that is universal. And it therefore appeals internationally. That's the whole concept of playing. In this particular context now, we're talking about playing a specific game. And a game now that is reflective of even how your whole society is organized. Such is the nature of this game called football. So when we see international football, and we see FIFA, and we see the world engaged in this activity, it's not just playing now. It's a demonstration of your capacity to organize, your ability to demonstrate discipline, the ability to show resources. It shows the fibers that make up your society. So that's why it really attracts a lot of persons, and it therefore it sort of goes beyond now nationalities. It moves beyond borders, that you begin to see people who look very African now playing for places like Germany. So it really crosses a lot of borders. It transcends emotions. It goes into some levels of unity that sometimes it can be dangerous, because it also can provide a great divide. You know, so what we're seeing in front of us is not an ordinary event. It's something that the Europeans have organized through their governing body called FIFA. And we need to know also that FIFA is not an ordinarily governed body. It's the largest governing body in the world. It has more members than the United Nations.
Okay. What is the size of the membership?
It's about 210 members of the world.
Okay.
Play FIFA football. So when FIFA puts on an activity, it attracts the entire globe. So winning now and tradition and culture and history plays an important role. Because FIFA really started this thing in 1904. They started themselves as an organization in 1904. But we remember the African condition in 1904. We're just coming out of this decolonization process. We still have deep memories of chattel slavery. So we're not necessarily connected to the world of play the way the Europeans would play. So we have to see how the thing is organized and the timing and where are we as African people when this thing is being set up. And it's being set up in Europe. 7 nations, 7 nations came together, Sweden, Switzerland and a couple more, to organize how to control play, this game that's so emotional and so connective. So the former colonized nations tend to be attracted to the nations that govern them. In other words, now the English colonies, those people would be attracted to English football. Likewise, the Spanish and so forth. So within the African context now, the black people who have been scattered into this Western world in these different islands and spaces, we get caught cheering for nations that really were our colonial masters and not necessarily recognizing Africa and issues of race and economics. That's another thing that comes up into the whole picture,
And I suppose now, increasingly, as the European sides have more African presence in there, it feels increasingly acceptable to say that, remember the French team that won the World Cup was predominantly African, and that kind of,
And you see what has really happened now, the Europeans, in the decolonization process, they no longer were going after necessarily goods, but services, which are an important part of the entertainment world. They tapped into that early. What they had to do in the early 60s was to take young African players, under 20, take them into Europe, play in the second and third divisions for a couple of years.
Your dog getting excited, Don. It seems.
No, I'm just giving you a sort of
I'm saying the
way
dog.
how African people have been caught up into the World Cup settings.
It's the barking I'm talking about. It's coming through. I don't know if you can shift your location away from the dog.
You hear some animals?
I'm hearing the lions roaring.
All right. I think I'm too much in the prairie.
Yeah.
Okay.
But okay, so you made the point that even before decolonization started, FIFA was in place as a European centered business.
Well, FIFA really came around in 1904,
Yeah.
So it's almost at the tail end of this process that they were taking us through, releasing us from chattel slavery and sort of giving us the feeling that we could be independent as a people.
So it's the beginning of the neo-imperialism, the decolonization,
And sport has been a very important sphere of activity for control.
Yeah.
And FIFA itself now is an autonomous government. People don't seem to recognize that they have more power than even national governments to an extent.
What kind of resources they manage? You have any kind of...
It's the richest government because of the amount of investments and multinational corporations that they were able to get involved with them from the 70s. In other words, when they started out, they weren't really making money. But in the 70s, under the new president from Brazil, Avalanche, he began to invite companies like Coca-Cola and Gillette and the major international companies. That FIFA suddenly became $1 billion generating company. So it's a money-making machinery that really has its arm all across the globe. And whether you're an African or you're European or you're Chinese, you get involved in play, and it tends to overshadow your other issues.
Your political and economic challenges.
Yes.
So tell us something now, Dan. Brazil, there is I don't know, the connection between Jamaica and Brazil is
real.
Yeah, it's real at several levels. What is your take on all of what has happened in the last couple of days where Brazil is?
Well, again, historically we have been connected to Brazil from 1958 and from the inception of Pelé. And Pelé now became that black icon that gave us a sense of self-reliance and self-confidence. And so we all, in terms of black people in the Western world, saw Pele as our first international black icon. So we have been gravitating towards Brazilian football culturally, historically. We know about Africans who are in Brazil, the large populations there. So culturally, we have a lot of things in common, musically, food, and otherwise. So this attraction, of course, is well understood. Mm-hmm. But in the last 10 to 15 years, or to become more realistic, since 1970, Brazilians did not win the cup again until 1994. So there were 24 years that passed that the Brazilians did not win the cup. And in those 24 years, football evolved, and Europe and Argentina became the representation.
So that's when some of the allegiance to the Germany and the Netherlands and the Spain may have strengthened, is what you're saying, as well, locally?
Right. In other words, once we lost the Brazilian imagery, we began to look for other beacons. Mm-hmm. And so Argentina became the closest one for us, being still South American.
Yeah.
But in the world, it was the Dutch and the Germans and the Italians who were the dominant teams. What I'm saying to you, the Brazilians in that period went to Europe to learn to play how the Europeans played as well.
Yeah.
Because they had to begin to master both styles.
You've brought up something that I've often wondered about, the fact that the third world largely exports its talent to play in the European leagues.
Yes, that's the epicenter.
And that's where the money and the training and all of what is supposed to be
to make the football
state of the art, professionalism. And I wonder though, Don, if for as long as we are doing that, do we really have a real chance at hoisting that cup? To what extent does that?
Nations will forever have a difficulty trying to wrestle the cup from Europe or South America.
We need a FUFA cup, is what you're saying?
I am not sure we need a super cup, but I think we need to bring more of the resources of Europe into Africa, into African people themselves now. In other words, now, at the highest level of the organization, meaning the coaches and the managers, we have to have our African people develop at that level.
Yeah.
In other words, if we keep producing the players only, we'll never really win the cup. We have performances. But to really challenge, we have to have our own people and our own cultural direction at management and at coaching.
So you're saying that model tested and proven is the only way to possibly do it?
Yes, because you see, the thing about it, the football is centered in Europe.
Yeah.
The South Americans now, they all play in Europe.
Yeah.
So you can't really get around that in that term, from that perspective.
Okay, but I remember when the same used to be argued in the days of track and field that in order to produce world-class athletes, we needed to export them to American colleges. And then Asafa Powell came and disabused us of that, and so did Hussein. Until now, we are starting to see where we are attracting, training international athletes.
Excellent point.
Yeah, I just wonder if this isn't a bit like that, Madame Lagarde. We're expecting a kind of wand to be waved without genuinely looking internally.
The athletics is interesting, Dr. Niaah, because we didn't just produce the runners. What we produced were the coaches. It is the coaches who established those bases here that the runners could stay here and train. So the same point I'm making, until we can develop internationally recognized local coaches. In other words, our coaches have to go into Europe and live there and train there, and then return to our space. With that knowledge and with our cultural norms, you sort of make that blend. Because we have to respect culture.
Yeah.
And we can't just bring the European style and drop it on Jamaica, nor bring the South American style and drop it on Jamaica. We've been doing that with everything. Within the politics, we bring theories from Europe and drop them into the country, and they don't work. But we need the knowledge.
So, a kind of different question. This cyclical World Cup allegiance, how does this affect the Pan-African struggle, seriously?
How does it affect
the Pan-African struggle?
Uh-huh.
I mean, I tried to bring my Pan-Africanism to the World Cup by supporting all the African sides, all 5 of them.
I always do, right.
But
those are my emotional teams.
Yeah, and that's what everybody kind of says. But,
yes.
But, I mean, when do we really start to think? The point I'm making is that this is a population control configuration, you know. The World Cup emerges the same year as His Majesty is crowned, and it has its own significance in 1930. The little backwater Ethiopia, its own incarnation of the King of Kings, is not a major front page in other spaces because of other kind of distractions. Europe, the anchor of FIFA, is 8%. You talk about European ethnicities. You're talking about 8% of the world.
Right.
And then you have this 92% of the rest of the world that the nationalism becomes completely secondary at these moments. You know,
nationalism is high for the countries who are actually involved, because I think Jamaica had their own taste of nationalism when we got to World Cup in '98, where we could really use that feeling and break down quite a few of those politically created divides and social, you know. So it does have a role in terms of nationalism, but when you try to go into race, you're having some issues now, because we have naturally continental-born Africans representing European nations. We don't have any Europeans representing an African nation, even though they were even born there, perhaps. You know?
Yeah.
So, for the African, and I'll say something, Jahlani, at the World Under-20 and the World Under-17, we defeat Europe and South America regularly, meaning Africa.
Yeah.
We are champions at the Under-17 and Under-20. But when it requires the volumes of money, the African countries don't have it. That's why there's so much squabbling at the end, because the money is not there to pay the players the way they should be paid in advance. It's
professionalism at the end of the day, because schoolboy activities, well supported, excellent, and then once you leave school, there's a gap. Yeah.
And the athletics have resolved it by training the coaches, developing internationally ranked coaches that the athletes will respect. We don't have that in football. So our players will not respect the local coaches until they become international. And that requires a sort of national program, Jahlani. No one coach can take himself out and just come back better.
I hear you.
I think we're missing that point here in Jamaica.
So the World Cup is not a place for the Pan-African struggle, more or less, at this time.
It's very difficult here because of the amount of Africans who are the main players, but representing countries that are not African. You know?
Yeah.
And we must recognize now that from the early 60s, Africa have had European Players of the Year already in 1965, you know. It was an African player. Eusebio, coming from Mozambique, playing for Portugal. So the Africans have always been showing themselves in that level, but they say at the level of coaching and management and ownership, we are still performers. So from my perspective, the slavery has not changed. We have now become, rather than goods, we are now service. We are providing services.
Well, traded men, you know.
Yes, that's where it's at.
And then the price on the head make you think that
you're making some money.
Yeah,
and when we look at the multinational companies, when you look at FIFA's profit after each World Cup, remember, they're afraid to go to Africa because of all these taboo about fears. Yet they made the most money ever at the last World Cup.
Exactly. South Africa has been the most successful economically.
Exactly, and this one may even outdo it.
Yeah.
So we must not be deceived by just simply following the bouncing ball and watching the soccer. We have to look at this political movement. What happens when the World Cup is over? The billions of dollars go. How those countries, you know, we can't be just performers, brethren. We need to own some of these resources. Yeah, we don't even own a stadium. We don't own anything as black people in sports, you know. All we own is the records.
And you say we don't even own ourselves, you know.
Not even ourselves yet, because we can be traded and bought and sold in the same framework. So I am saying sports is good relief, but we must not be withdrawn into that we become pawns again to a higher level of technology and control. We need to own stadiums. I would love Usain Bolt to build a stadium.
Okay.
Or must build a stadium.
Properly,
we need to put the physical infrastructure so that we can have a better chance to survive at that international level.
In fact, we don't really have a national football stadium.
No, we don't.
Yeah,
we had a multi-stadium in 1962 that many in the society rejected. And we have not moved from that point. So, Jahlani, when people ask the question, can we go to the next World Cup, it's a symptom of our suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same myopic concept.
And you're saying the visionary suffering as well.
Say it again.
The suffering of vision.
Yes, yeah, man.
Yeah.
And we see in the political arena, we cannot see beyond 3 years. The question should be now, can we qualify for the 2022 World Cup? That is a more practical question. But we see we think that we're so gifted that every World Cup we have a space there, but that's not true. It's not true.
So 98 was what, by accident?
A blip. That was a blip on the screen.
A blip.
Yeah, on the screen.
Okay.
And then to repeat that, you have to have a foundation now and come the way all nations come, from the base to the top. And in between the base and the top lies the Olympic program, and we have no Olympic soccer program.
Yeah, but in relative to the World Cup, what is the Olympics? It's
before the World Cup was set up in 1930. The Olympics was the highest level of competition that you could win.
I see.
And that's where your best amateur players surface.
So you said
we are an amateur country.
Existed in the football existed as Olympic sport before the World Cup was invented.
Before the World Cup was set up.
Seen.
Which is why Uruguay won the first World Cup, because they won the first 2 Olympic games prior to the World Cup. So they already had an international team, but it is at that level where you build your international players, at the Olympic level.
Yeah.
And there they become prepared now to play World Cup. We are trying to move from national level to World Cup. It doesn't work.
Okay. Any predictions for the finals?
I am glad it's a European-South American clash. We see a clash of ideologies and cultures and philosophies and styles, which gives it more entertainment. And as an African in this hemisphere, I would like to gravitate towards Argentina. But as a German trained coach, I kind of have my respect for that machinery, you know.
So you're calling it for the Germans then?
Yes, I hope we get 120 minutes though, because we need as much soccer as we can get without penalty shootout.
I thought you were about to say goals, but you're talking minutes. Okay.
Yeah, time. Yeah, we need time for the team to play.
Yeah. All right, my brother.
Yes, sir.
Give thanks for the sharing, and the book is out on...
Yes, the book is called From Emancipation to the Reggae Boys. It's available at the campus right now, the ICS, Institute of Caribbean Studies, and over by the Social Science Faculty, Dr. Charles.
Okay, and this is more or less a comprehensive history of football in Jamaica.
You remember the word epic tome?
Yeah, man. It's an extensive. Yeah, man. All right, my brother. Congratulations and all the best with the endeavors. We know they are purposeful.
Yes, sir. And we had a conference, at the in April, football conference. I follow it up now with some workshops and perhaps a one-day conference now on the post-World Cup analysis. We may put that on very shortly.
Yeah, man, that sounds like a good thing.
So give thanks to Bongo Niaah.
All right, my brother.
Every time.
Yeah, man, bless you. Give thanks. Rastafari. Okay, we're going to go to a break now and then come right back. Cutting Edge.
Good God have mercy. Hey, God, be a backlash Berlina. Come make me mix up the roots in Medina. A backlash Zapata, Spirulina, coconut water, blood tonic. The whole world of chronics. Come off a door and mini feel big. So me
Chronics and Spirulina is one of those young teachers that really heating up the place with the natural substance. Just a word from His Imperial Majesty. He tells us It is normal for every individual, family, or generation to give way to the new by adding something to the heritages bequeathed upon it. It is thus our sacred duty and responsibility to be cognizant of the fact that because history is bound to judge us, tomorrow, by what we are doing today, we must do everything in our powers to leave behind us a lasting legacy of work. His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie. There is news of eviction notices at Scots Pass. Scots Pass, some of you may know, is considered one of the Rastafari heritage sites. Nyabingi Center has been there for a number of years, and a tabernacle has been actively used over the last, I think it's 20 or so years. We have on the line Ras Jr. Negus, who is a spokesperson on behalf of those who are being evicted. Ras Jr.?
Yeah.
Greetings, my brother.
Blessed Lord.
Yeah, blessed Ras Jr. Rastafari.
Yeah, we've been hearing a lot, and as you know, everything out of Jamaica captures the attention of the international public. There's concern from ones near and far as to what might be happening at Scots Pass. You want to tell us a little about what has been happening?
Is this Dr. Jahlani?
This is Jahlani Niaah, Junior Negus.
Okay. Well, I'm on speak as the secretary of the Nyabingi Order Faith at Scotch Pass, Nyabingi Center. And what is going on down there is one little lawyer without nothing official about it has sent notice to various occupants on the compound saying that they should evacuate the premises before such and such a time as the 19th of July. Now, I, as the administrator of the Nyabingi Order, don't see any authenticity behind these letters.
Okay.
Because the letter claimed that people are there staying without permission given. Okay. Well, there are people there that have been given permission from the Nyabingi Order and the administration of the Nyabingi Order to be there. So I don't see who's got any authority over the administration of the Nyabingi Order at Scotch Pass to write to I and say that, give individual notice that they don't have no authority, when we was given authority, even though it's through word of mouth. There's other things that can verify that our authority as the Nyabingi administration at Scotch Pass over the last 30 years is authentic and legally sound, to that if we decide that this and that person have such permission to be there. I don't see any lawyer on behalf of whoever they want to say their behalf of. We cannot see that letter as authentic, you know. So
tell me something. How many individuals is it that all the occupants have been asked to leave, or explain to us how many persons are affected?
Well, it's about 10 people.
Okay.
You know, that has been asked to evacuate the place.
And there are more than 10 persons that live there?
Yeah, there's more than 10 people live there.
Okay. And is it Marshanti is among the individuals as well, I gather?
Yeah, well, Marshanti had a letter saying that she was given the permission through the Food for the Poor authorization before she could have built her house there. They seem to withdraw that. We get notice that her letter was a mistake by the lawyer.
Okay.
And that also shows that there is no authenticity behind what is going on, but just a coup trying to add value is probably a little bit ill. And she, as a Asian mama who knows the fullness of what's happening, is not really fully aware of what this lawyer's action is all about. So we are waiting to get some real communication from the Bob Rita Marley Foundation to see how authentic this notice is before any action taken or any publicity about the whole issue.
Yeah. So presently then there are attempts on the part of those who got the letter to have direct dialogue with the Marley Foundation is what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah, to have it clarified. I suppose then there is what is a wait and see as to how that goes.
Yeah, it's a wait and see, because we have a lot of respect for Sister Rita Marley and the Marley family for the gift they have given unto the Niaah order when it was so much needed, and I would like to keep it in that good spirit from that time and even till now. So
tell me something. Does the letter provide any specific reason why these individuals have been asked?
Well, the letter don't actually says, but to my knowledge of the ear is the fact that seeing that the land is going to be technically and legally turned over to the Niaah administration as a gift, not only that is not like it follows the same principle as if when you was gonna sell a piece of land, you would first have to evict those occupants on it, so that when you turn over the land, then the new owners will decide who is permitted to be on the land. And I think that is partially the process that is taking place, But
the letter doesn't imply that.
No.
I see what it's saying.
No.
Okay. I'm sure you will do your best to advise us as to what the progress is with this issue. And as I am aware, there is quite an international interest as well from I family around the Caribbean and elsewhere. The Scots Pass, is one of those sentimental pieces of the heritage.
Well, Jahlani, that seeing that Scots Pass has been a place where ones and ones tend to misbehave at times, saying that is Rita land and the administration cannot really speak with any teeth. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So, there has to be some form of change, but how it goes about is what we're basically concerned with. How this transaction is going to take place, is what our concern is really about and our focus.
I'm hearing from what you're saying, in a sense, that all of this might be somewhat misconstrued in the public domain, in that it might actually be a beneficial move in terms of formalizing a process which has not been formal for a long time.
Right.
And I know as a fact that the issues surrounding the land has really affected the way the land has been developed or otherwise not developed, which are challenges we need to
develop. Because, Sidra Kalanji working with the Haitians, even authorized as a statistical president to represent certain repatriation administration on behalf of the Niaah administration. That is also getting a struggle. And the fact that he has been our treasurer for the Haitians since 2003, when there was no objection, but since 2011, we find a lot of people coming in now to object. But Cesar Kalanji has been the treasurer of the Niaah order from 2003, you understand, authorized by the elders. So any younger ones coming up don't like that, then, they're going to have to live with it or try and persuade or go in some corners or run off in some diverse directions and make all kinds of false accusations. Because the work that he has done down there as the treasurer on behalf of the Haitians is quite substantial in terms of development in assets being placed on that compound even since 2004, 2006 going up. Because prior to that, there was no real value on the land where Sister Rita was quite disappointed that the land has not been developing. So recently she came down there and seen what was taking place and inquire who was responsible for these development. And she was told that it was Sizzla. So she had made appointment to speak with him and try to make some arrangement with him to see if he could continue to see to it that the land is taken care of in terms of tax and things like that. Because, you know, within the Nyabingi administration, there is so much malfunction
Junior, is he not one of those who also received a notice for eviction?
No, nothing like that.
Okay, I thought I heard that in the media, that he was among those.
I don't know where those newscasters get their news from. So you see it's an undercurrent propaganda trying to fight against the real development at Scotch Pass.
Well, but my brother, you know, you talk about undercurrents and, you know, a range of what seems to be ongoing challenges that in one way or another affect the community. And it seems as though, you know, whether it is our heritage sites or collective vision and administration, you know, Orthodox Church have issues now based on occupation of one space and another space. There's an ongoing issue at Bubble Hill. You know, almost everywhere you turn, it seems as though the community is afflicted by the caliber of leadership that is within our community. And I'm not saying anything personal. I'm talking of I in general. You know, that when the occasion arises for us to really rise to the moment and keep this community strong, and you know, we are at a point now where all the issues that we have struggled to represent are in front of us as a nation. The official voices have no clue how to handle the range of things that are presented in front of them. Sustainable development is a big word of covering it all, but it deals with ganja, it deals with reparation, it deals with
heritage.
Heritage and liberty, and we drop the ball, you know, in a real sense.
That is what you know.
We're playing worse than the Brazilian side against the Germans now.
Well, I know, you know that this movement has got an undercurrent, as I repeat, of agents that is trying to anchor our administration to suit the colonial oppression that does not want to see I as a people from way back then. Literally, the government of Jamaica used to outrightly abuse this movement. But nowadays, those kind of things can't go on, so you find it takes place in a different way. In a different diplomatic way, where people don't get abused in the open, but there's a strong current to keep I as an administration down, that we cannot develop ourselves. So I understand what you're saying, that the time is now, our heritage, our intellectual property rights, all these things, our rights to our sacrament, all these things need to put into perspective. So this is why you have a struggle now coming on to us from the very oppressors, to make sure that all those opportunities that are open up to Rasta now somehow goes forward for the benefit of our oppressors and the suppression of the movement continually.
Yeah, man, the one voice principle we used to have, we need to bring it forward. You know, the voice has become fragmented.
Heritage side, Dr. Jahlani. Heritage side, the Nyabingi order is like what's happening at Pinnacle. If Pinnacle is an heritage site, the Nyabingi Tabernacle, Nyabingi administration is an heritage site. So no, heritage does not govern the administration of the Nyabingi order. You know what I'm saying? The Nyabingi order is going to remain prominent in its with its autonomy within its administration, and no outside forces, whether it's as a collective or a registrative organization or whatever it may take, or the heritage site itself, cannot impose itself on the administration like what has been taking place.
But you know, we're not really into a lot of time. We're a couple minutes to our break. But what I'm saying is that we as a community have not been strong enough in keeping our issues together, and this is another one of those instances. You know, whatever the background to this notice, you know, the Scotts Park Center is like a piece of gem that is within the community. You know, it should be a model of sustainable development. When we go there, all across the world, our brothers and sisters are demonstrating levity inspired from Jamaica in a seriously organized and professional way. And here in Jamaica, relative to the rest of the Caribbean, we are abundant with resources. You know, I mean, you're talking about places that have a few square meters of rock, and you know they are exercising sustainable development and collectivity. You know, but I'm simply saying that I wish you the best with this, and that community-wise, I think that we need to pull together more so, especially on the important issues. That's really what I'm saying.
Well, Dr. Jahlani, you know, and I give thanks for our opportunity, but as a Rastafari advocate within the movement and doctor and everything, we need to have our own voice to speak on behalf of ourselves. We cannot wait for every time the radio station hears something about our problem, they come and ask us questions and dissect our administration to suit whatever they're trying to find out. Nothing don't go like that. We need our own radio station to speak about our concerns day and night out. We don't need 5 minutes on radios every minute to come and talk about our business to suit. And this is another manipulation that keeps us as if we're a splintered group. Because you know from the research done 61, one of the recommendations that comes out of it at UWI was
a radio station. But you have to admit though, you know, that Muta's Cutting Edge has tried to provide a voice for our community. I know what you mean though. I'm not saying that it is what you're saying.
Muta speak on behalf of...
No, I'm not saying that Muta's voice is speaking for the community. I'm saying that the Cutting Edge Forum has been a facilitator for the community's interests. So, and it is in that spirit that this conversation is happening. There are some of our members who have been asking about the situation at Scotts Park, and
this is the Cutting Edge.
This is the Cutting Edge.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm substituting for Mutabaruka.
The Cutting Edge should not wait for problems. The Cutting Edge should speak with leaders of the Rastafari movement every week on the Cutting Edge. Talk about Rastafari affairs, that we can inform our one another of what is happening, how our movement is being infiltrated, not to call people names and discredit other people. Like Brother Muta will always figure that we are so illiterate that if he gives us a chance to talk, we're going to come up here talking about that person and talking about that person. No, we need to talk about the administration.
Yeah, man, and be serious about the work that we're doing, because it's not a joke thing, you know. The point is, though, we're going to have to go to break, though. And again, thanks for giving us some insights as to what's happening, and hopefully can keep us actively informed. Yeah, man, give thanks, my brother. Perfect love.
Hey, Jayut don't bow now.
I let them really rock it, you know.
You read this sweet and red. Nothing no hide. The youth them see when it's abundance of child them see. See mama mountain us back all the fire is a repeat story.
Yeah, this is the Cutting Edge. I'm Jahlani Niaah, sitting in for Muta, who is in Nigeria. I'm joined in the studio by Gabri Medin, Oral Taylor, who also made the trod into Ethiopia. just passed. First time on the continent, right?
Yeah, it's the first time, within this dispensation, within this lifetime.
Seeing.
Give thanks to His Majesty, was really a blessing,
What, give us a sense of the first impression. You are an Ethiopian Orthodox Rastafari youth who's been more or less well prepared for a journey like this. You've been baptized for over 20 years. Gabri Medin is the Orthodox name. You have some measure of Amharic that you are familiar with through the church. And spiritually, you have been aligning yourself in the orthodoxy of the church. What was this return to your homeland like?
Returning to Ethiopia is returning to my mother, my spiritual and ancestral homeland. When I arrived in Ethiopia and being there, it proved to me that what I'm seeing occurring within the Ethiopian presentation at the Ethiopian Tawaida Church existing in Jamaica, it fulfilled. It fulfilled all teaching. Ethiopia is Zion. That is a teaching of the faith. That Ethiopia is our mother. Ethiopia is Zion, the land of the Ark of the Covenant, and is the whole head, like the crown head of creation, basically, the land of His Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie. So it was a very spiritual experience for me, basically. And this spiritual enrichment exists and manifests in many different forms. The smell of Ethiopia. Ethiopia smells different. Ethiopia smells like incense, basically. The people are very graceful, basically. People don't treat each other in this aggressive way. They're more calm, So that goes to show that Ethiopians are very reverent. And they are very reverent people. I remember passing through some of the sanctuary and passing through the yards, the churchyard, so to speak. Like, for example, Kidus Gargis, otherwise known as St. George, where His Majesty was crowned. Passing through that churchyard, people just in reverence, hundreds of people
across the yard
outside, and they are like priests walking around with incense and muskels blessing people, and people in their corner, people are sitting down, some are kneeling down, some are prostrated
all day long,
brethren. And that is not just at that only churchyard. I visited other churches as well. Church at Menlik Bill. That church is known as Kidus Gabriel Church, and also Kidus Dingel Mariam Church. People just occupied these holy spaces, basically. So, living in Jamaica now and learning of orthodoxy and experiencing it through liturgical services and also through a commune as well here in Jamaica. There's Deborah Z that was established by His Eminence Abuna Isaac in 1974, basically. So, however, in Ethiopia now, it's like you're seeing the faith living and manifesting. People living the faith, not just speaking it or anything. One thing that really had an impression upon me is also what we would call begging, basically. You see, if you don't have a spiritual, you see, in Ethiopia, like a beggar is not like a beggar in the West, basically. People in Ethiopia, like, when they beggars who beg, them beg in this very type of graceful manner, them beg on significant days. Like, for example, if it's a spiritual holiday, for example, like a St. Mariam Day or something like that, people is going to come and beg in the name of St. Mariam. I even see priests begging as well. Like, I remember traveling from Shashamane to Addis Ababa, and the bus stopped to pick up someone. There was this elder priest who came and he begged, and people gladly gave him just to get a blessing. So the point I'm making is that this Ethiopian Orthodox culture, is strong and well in Ethiopia. So persons who have the aspiration to repatriate to Ethiopia present a very strong orthodoxy in the living of the people. Even people who are not orthodox, basically, even they have this type of graceful this biblical aura about them, basically.
Yeah, man, the church come out of the people, you know.
Yes,
I mean, that the culture in a very big way. The day-to-day food choices, you know, if on a fasting day, no flesh is available
in the restaurants
across the country, you know. And this applies for everyone, Christians, otherwise. So in a sense, you're right in the way that orthodoxy pervades the whole society. What about the physical?
Okay, they know. Ethiopia now, you're enough Ethiopia because as a Rastafarian now, right? And Ethiopia is the promised land, and we have this heavenly type of. We place Ethiopia also in this heavenly context. However, Ethiopia is real. Ethiopia is a real country. Arriving in Ethiopia, you realize that Ethiopia is a developing country, and bears similar circumstances, similar to Jamaica, to a Jamaican context. You have rich, you have poor. However, what is happening in Ethiopia right now, in my observation, particularly in Addis Ababa, where I was mostly, there are massive development occurring. There are buildings going up. It's like you can get a sense of, like, you can try to forecast the development of Ethiopia probably next 10, 15 years from now. What you see is this developed city, like in Addis Ababa, basically. You see this developed city, right? So development is occurring on a rapid pace, in my observation.
And you said developed city, but you're not necessarily saying what that means, because developed city is not Kingston in your conversation. You're talking about much more. Yeah,
I'm talking something similar to New York, basically, if you want to look at it within that context. Because, I mean, you can see capitalism then, basically. You can see capitalism manifesting, moving fast in Ethiopia, basically. And capitalism, not in a sense seeing it as negative, though, you know. And being a Rastafari, I perceive certain things from different angles, certain way, because this reason is within the Rastafari context, basically, and repatriation. And I traveling to Ethiopia and observing things and my experience, and I link that now with Rastafari aspiration towards repatriation, particularly to Ethiopia, Addis Ababa / Shashamane. I need to have a developmental mind, beloved. That is message, right? I need to have a development mind, because Ethiopia is developing, and it's developing rapidly. I can't go to Ethiopia with a layback type of attitude.
It's not a retirement space.
It's not a retirement space. Ones have equipped that yourself with skills, you know, and unite, try to build enterprises, business, and once if you start to think in a very economic way right now, I mean, the reality of the times call for this. Too many dogma, it create a lot of confusion, beloved. Let us unite and create economic proposal within INI, and that can address even the development of Shashamane, and even INI objective in Ethiopia, in particular, Africa by extension, because Africa is developing. Africa is a space of development.
All right, we're going to, in a short while, be joined by individuals in Shashamane on the phone line. And of course, my co-host is speaking of his travel to Ethiopia to participate in the Rastafari, the Majesty and Movement exhibition, which took place at the National Museum there. And there was a one-day symposium as well, organized by myself, which saw participants from about 15 different countries, bringing us up to date with work that they're doing in their various spaces. Rastafari activists who are, you know, engaged in various kinds of community and international objectives. We're going to share some more of Midnight Anthology with you. Midnight, some of you might know, is reportedly one of the most successful reggae touring groups, and some people have them as the top reggae group in the world. They're out of St. Croix, and a foundation part of the Rastafari movement there. But powerful set of warriors who give us real soulful music. So more Midnight.
He said, she said, I wanna set up rumbling and a rapping. Respect and harmony, yeah. Not intense hate and rival. No, learn to respect. I wanna set up rumbling and a rapping.
Yeah, more sounds of midnight. This is the Cutting Edge. Jahlani Niaah sitting in for Mutabaruka, and with me in studio is Medin, Oral Gabri Medin. Gabri Medin is what, the Orthodox name?
Yeah, Gabri Medin is the official name within spiritual realm still.
Of course, my brother, it has to be. Yeah, you know, the whole name thing, and I suppose the persons who are in the church get a new name through the church when they're baptized. But, you know, within the African world, many of us don't really have names that we have chosen for ourselves. And that is, I mean, Sister Andrea, for example, who is now projecting the Kabu, I think will help a lot based on our own popularity to inspire people to make that transition. It's important psychically. People who have made a bigger transition are those who find themselves settled in Shashamane, and I think we have on the line some of the brothers who were a part of the exhibition and other events that took place. Do we have on the line Ras Joseph and Priest Paul? Greetings.
Greetings, Ras Jahlani, Ras Gabri, greetings.
Aye, blessed Ras Joseph. Aye.
Hey man, good to hear your voice, my brother. You sound loud and clear.
Yes, give thanks, Sire. It's a rain heavy here, so the sound quality for us is a bit poor, because you know the rain and the zinc.
Okay.
Give thanks.
Well, we well want some of that rain in us, so meditate forward some now, because Jamaica is in a serious drought. Perhaps this connection might bring some.
So you chant ISIS bring the rain.
I see what you're saying. Well, the ISIS are coming in a little while, you know. We're going to be chanting 23rd, so if not anything by then.
We'll see rain after that, man.
See,
I'm positive.
I must tell the Minister of Water that all the way from Zion, them promising rain based on the chanting. My brother, you know, it was really ileful to have been hosted by the Nabing in Shashamane. Both myself and Gabri Medin, as you know, were warmly received, and the days we were in Ethiopia, in Shashamane, we stayed there. And, you know, we got all the food for thought and stomach. I want to hail up the brethren from Reggae Part, Ras Dino. But just to say that, you know, the Nabinge Tabernacle in Shashamane really impressed me as a viable space where one's, you know, could actively find some sort of welcome. And I see the community youths cleave to the center as well. I know there's a baking of bread project that happens out of it. You're joined with is Priest Paul with you, Ras Joseph?
Yes, he's right here now.
Greetings, Priest Paul. I didn't, you know, say we don't start a reason about the eye yet, you know. So don't feel no way that me talking strongly of the bingy. My brother.
Rastafari, no problem.
Aye. Honorable Priest, it's good to have you on the line, you know.
My lord.
Yeah, blessed, honorable my lord, blessed.
Seen. You go through Priest Paul.
Yeah, give much thanks, you know, for this invitation, you know, to really have I'm on here this morning. You know, so it's a pleasure still for the invitation.
See.
Yeah.
that Ross Joseph could have really come here like this early morning that I didn't really need to really have an interview with I nice, so give much thanks.
Yeah, man, we really appreciate it. It's Mutabaruka's program, Cutting Edge, and he's traveling, and our objective is really just to not just connect Shashamane with Kingston and the wider listening public, but to account and report for some of the experiences and issues that confront the eyes in that pioneering work. You, Priest Paul, have been there for a while, so perhaps you might wish to start just by giving us an overview of how you got there and what has it been like to sustain yourself there. Briefly, I know that you can't say that to us in one program, and some of the things that you're presently engaged in. I know that you are one of the central Rastafari Caribbean diaspora and administrator, and just give us a little sense as to what that might mean.
Well, far and foremost, give much thanks to life and give thanks to Almighty Life Giver, Black Christ in flesh, Holy Emmanuel eyes, last year, Jah, Rastafari. Yeah. Well, I give thanks again and would like to say greetings to each and every one here in Jamaica, and also my beloved brothers and sisters, who are here also. Yeah. And for our loved ones who are around who may know I may not know I, man. I just one perfect love to each and every one still up on this holy and blessed morning, with the rain. So unified. Well, I repatriated from Jamaica in 1992 from the Bobo Shanti Foundation, sent by the Honorable Prince Emmanuel, as part of a delegation to interact with the Ethiopian government concerning freedom, redemption, and international repatriation and resettlement in Ethiopia. So from that time, I have been, moving around from Addis Ababa to Shashamane, engaging with the governmental levels concerning those points, of articles that I did really came here to really fulfill still. So from them time, I man really leave Ethiopia. I man come find a settlement in Shashamane, which the world have been aware about Shashamane, that Shashamane was a given point to the diaspora and people, by His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie, And so this have been recorded 4 wings in Ethiopia, because when you come to Ethiopia, the first place even the people and the government pointing you to is Shashamane, So Iman presence in Shashamane today is very significant, because when Iman came to Shashamane in the early 90s, we never even have a good relationship with the local people, and constant moving around and developing up integration with the people. It make a significant stride, So I give much thanks to the effort and the strength, because it was merely I still the father who really used I as an instrument to really pave them way that I could have really be here until today,
Honorable Priest, say a little about the day-to-day responsibilities that you hold. Is it the Shimagli that relies on you? You can better say, but I gather that locally, you are a kind of central point. Say a little about
what happened? Iman is a member of the Shashamane Political Council. When they do have their 3-month or 6-month report reasoning, they will always invite Iman to that council. Also, I'm a member of the Community Policing Board.
Okay.
I'm a member of the Cavalier Development Committee. So these are the mainstreams where I'm affiliated in to really interact with the community and with I&I community. Now, concerning the Shimagli thing is something which was said from the Majesty days, even from the Bible. When you really go back to Saint Matthew, when him say, if your brother offend you, you take it to one or two witness, and in that council of those witnesses, then you know that's how all issues will be resolved. So we come as Shashamane in Ethiopia, and we see that dominant, even in cases like man kill even man. Yeah, the Shimagli, them even hand it over to the Shimagli for really address even address those cases. So we find that the Shimagli issue here is something very, very important. You know, because even recently from that meeting where the IDD was even present at that meeting, at the exhibition meeting, I was even deliberating around the Shimagli. You know, the responsibilities of really where we should have really hold. We find it for 2 weeks after I was called to a court case.
Honorable Priest, and I'm going to ask you to just pause for a minute. We have to break, but we're coming right back. Just hold your point about the involvement of the Shimagli. So we're returning right to you after this break. Give thanks.
You hear that? Swiggy.
She's a keeper when she loves. Don't distress her when she loves.
Yes, welcome back to the Cutting Edge on IRA FM. We have on the phone line Honorable Priest Paul, who is effectively the lead priest at the Bubba HQ in Shashamane, and also Ras Joseph, who is one of the keepers of the tabernacle. Priest Paul, you were explaining to us that the need for the Shimagli shortly after the meeting in Shashamane in May arose. You want to continue?
Yeah, if so be it, yeah. Well, as I man was,
Go on through.
Yeah, well, as I man was saying, shortly, maybe 2 weeks after we had that meeting, I was called to a court case, you know, concerning a community
incident,
problem.
Yeah,
and so the president of the court ended up turning it over to the Shimagli.
Okay.
You know, that was even a fulfillment of even the reasoning where I was really consolidating about.
Seeing.
You know, so we see how important the Rastafarian community need to really have this as a forefront right now, making decision, making counsel amongst ourselves.
Seeing.
You know, and without not having this kind of mechanism, then it coming like we still look like we are not really we are not organized people.
Well, Priest Paul, you know, you've continued from a discussion we were having earlier, but a local one, because you're saying, and Priest Ras Joseph, don't feel excluded. You're saying that the need for internal control of our administration, issues, problems, etc., is presenting the need for the traditional governance method, which is the Shimagli. You know, that is what we've seen in Ethiopia, and right now it is something that our community needs in Ethiopia as well. That you say, okay. And you are a major part of that kind of administrative potential if it emerges. I want to bring in Ras Joseph, whose involvement is a little more recent, himself having come into Shashamane via Jamaica and the UK. Am I correct, Ras Joseph?
Yes, Jahlani, you're correct.
Yeah, so tell us a little about what's been happening now, because I know that there are several individuals who have come in recent times from the UK at the Narbingi Center, And in my assessment, it seems as though a good strength has come through that, group of individuals. So tell us a little about the association that's responsible for persons coming from the UK and the kind of things you're doing.
Okay, well, the first association was the NNC, the Niaah National Council. That was the first task we had to face when I came, which was 2 years ago. And through the administration of that council comes the overseership and the day-to-day running and administration of the center and the tabernacle.
So basically it's an administrative and organizational hub in a sense.
Organizational goodie or body is who is responsible for the day-to-day administration. My role in that was, if I recall, when I was in Jamaica, was to come first and foremost was to be a strength to Mama Baby, to interact with the community concerning our status, and working with one like Priest Paul to see what we could do to bring about a oneness in the community. Because what we needed to address is that no matter where we come from, no matter what our color, Ethiopian people see us all as one. And what we need to do is to live as they see us, which has been the problem. They see us as one body of people. We see ourselves as individuals from where we come from. So, hence, if we come from Jamaica, if we come from Trinidad, we have that little Willie League syndrome that we seem to bring from the West, So when the brethren speak of the oneness, this is the thing that we need to address, because it's not so much the interaction with the indigenous population, is the interaction between ourselves under the microscope of the indigenous population. So these are the things that we're trying to address in a collective manner.
Coming out of the gathering that happened in September there, what are the kind of expectations? I get a sense that there were a number of initiatives that were proposed. You want to say anything about some of the feed forward coming out of the gathering in Shashamane? Just tell us a little about what happened in Shashamane related to the exhibition and future kind of prospects.
You're speaking about Rastafari, the Majesty and the Movement?
Yes.
That exhibition?
Yes, my brother.
Okay, well, that again, the main thrust of that was to uplift the role of Majesty within history, within Ethiopia, and I part within that as being called after his name, and our role and part in Ethiopia. Now, our role as Shashamane was unique because being a community of Rastafari ones who hail up His Majesty, we felt that we had to use that moment for something significant to come out of it. So what you saw within that roundtable reasoning while you were present was what you would say, a need or a desire to bring about something that would be lasting and mark that occasion. Well, as you know, a few things came out of that, but the main thing to my mind, as Priest Paul was talking about again, was the Shemoghle, or as we call it, the Elders Council. Now, I feel that is very important for us because Ethiopia is a place that a lot of their tradition is based on a biblical system, i.e. you cannot take a one to court if you do not have two witnesses, as the Bible said. Now, in this case, the courts have a very high respect for the smuggler, wherein, as Priest Paul said, one could kill a one, and they would turn the case over to the smuggler to work out the differences between the family. Because here, of the traditions of Ethiopia, it's very easy to a situation flare up into tribal war or family war to the case of bloodshed. So the smuggler is very important in that sense that it is elders of the community who is respected by the community. So their decisions is held in very high esteem. Now the puzzlement for the Ethiopian community is why we do not get ourselves together and have something like that, because even in cases where one have personal litigation, the response is always the same. Form a smuggler, sit, discuss it. When you have decided, come back to the court and the court will honor it. And that has always been the case.
And you know, interestingly, Ras Joseph and Priest Paul, if there's anywhere on earth that there could be a Rastafari Council of Elders that is functional, is Ethiopia, given the uniqueness of that community. You know, that community is located together with good intellectual resources from, you know, the various ones that are now residing there. And then the traditional example, which is now still in operation. It's something that our community needs generally, but I'm encouraging the ones in Ethiopia to put forward something and something workable that perhaps, you know, could be shared beyond that space. Ras Joseph, just in kind of more updating the local Nyabingi family. I know we had a conversation about the prospects of individuals coming into Ethiopia from Jamaica. You want to say anything about that?
Well, my response to that would be simple, Jahlani, because His Majesty, when the land was given, and I believe...
My brother, I'm going to ask that you pause and come back after the break with that. But, you know, think about it and then we'll come back, we'll take your response to that. Yeah, you're listening to The Cutting Edge, and we are joined on the phone line by individuals living in Shashamane, namely Priest Paul and Ras Joseph. Ras Joseph, you were just about to share with us the question related to one's, I think, elders in particular, but the need for people in Shashamane from the Nyabingi, and how can that be facilitated?
Well, my response to that, Honorable Priest Paul pointed out, we want good people, good-hearted people, first and foremost. Ones who can interact in a positive manner to the needs of the community. And particular point of the Nyabingi house, yes, we would love to have an ancient in the house, because the presence of an ancient would complete, like the whole thing complete. That is what is lacking to our mind. Okay. But bearing in mind the mission of 61, I believe, where His Majesty instructed the type of people who was to come, you know. So bearing that in mind, we know, because in any community, first and foremost, you need the farmers, then the builders, then the family. So it's for ones who is willing to come, roll up them sleeves and practice their skills, because we know there are skilled artisans out there with good heart, good mind, and collective spirit. That is the main thing, that collective spirit that we can build a community. Because one thing we have to remember, Jahlani, is that living here in this community, all our theories about the faith, all our doctrinal and rhetoric, here we have to live it out because we cannot avoid each other. So no matter how we would look at our particular branch, our particular house within that mansion, here in Shashamane, we learn that we are just one. Because if I, as a Ayabingi, I am to do something that is wrong and out of order, it is going to affect my honorable brethren, priest Paul, whether he was here or had knowledge of not. Likewise, if I do something that is good and uplifting, it is going to affect my honorable brethren the same way. So these are the type of people we need now in Shashamane, or we are encouraging to come. When we say come, we are encouraging one with good heart, good mind, good spirit, and most of all, a collective irony.
So you're more or less saying that you particularly can take an ancient at this time. That is the kind of resource that would strengthen what already exists there in Shashamane. Of course, the good virtue is important, and the person should have flexibility to work with the conditions there. Right?
Yes, because you see, following in Bongo Rockies and Mama Baby Eyes' footsteps to the foundation that they have set is no easy task, my brethren, because number one, Bongo Rocky was 1 in a million. And the foundation that he has set, right, even collectively, we need an ancient within that, because what he did as an individual will now take up in that collective. We need an ancient. That is the best way I could explain.
All right. Priest Paul. Honorable Priest. Aile.
My Lord.
Yes. You've been there for more than 2 decades. And you've been in Zion without coming forward to, or backward, as one say in Ethiopia, to Jamaica. Any insights to your survival that you want to, share with us, and any particular challenge? You are a part of a very small Bobo Shanti community. Anything you want to reflect on for our listeners?
Well, as much as to say, who should we look to for our survival? We look to Jah, far and foremost, for our survival. Because the arm of flesh will fail you, and you dare not trust your own. And since the 23 years where I'm there in Ethiopia, I man say, really, the arm of flesh really feel I. From personal standpoint, from even my Congress, I man say, wherein the Congress members, them have I like I don't really exist. But give thanks to the pure in heart that Jah did really instill in a I man, for the love of I man, brother and sister still. So for I man survival, over the 20-odd years where I man there, I man say I man survival is from Jah. Because if I man did that depend upon the Congress members them, then today maybe I man even express I man self today with the eye upon the airwave. So in a nutshell, I man survival is from Jah. You know what I mean? But nonetheless, with collectiveness, as Ras Joseph earlier on speak, it is good. When I and I can really collective work together in order to really help each other, because the Christ tell us about the brotherhood of God, and I and I from I and I say Rastafari from them time there, I man see it was a collective force. But today I man have seen the Rastafarian movements, it come like it never real. to the way how we see individual live right now, even in Shashamania, because even recently, about few years ago, 2 members of the Bobo Shanti was invited here and even there so with Iman, and then break away 2 youth, then break away from Iman right now, and to the behavior of them in Shashamani, it's like a bit of the lifestyle of Bobo Shanti or maybe Rastafari, which to me that really represent I. So Iman as a Rastaman, certain lifestyle not really represent I, because I did overgrow them life there already.
See,
you know?
In fact, so, I know that you talk about the good and the right. No, I know that you talk about the good and the right people, and based on what you're saying, you have had experience with challenges from those who have come in to strengthen the Congress and have not in the best way represented it. So you're saying something about the kind of representation that gets to Africa as being at the highest level then?
Yes, because man is delegate for God. And if we say we are delegate for God, then in some way we must have to present ourselves in dignified manner. As the Majesty say, what in desire of man is to see man walk in dignity. Yeah? And this way preserve I man over the years where I man a walk from them time until this time. You know? Yes. So definitely we need proper representation to representing Rasta in Africa right now, because Africa no need no shelliness right now. Africa have its own problem where it go through, and then we are come with our unruly kind of behavior again, our gangster we are life and a show like this is Rasta, this is where we come to implement in Ethiopia. No. Seeing. Once me judge I man outwardly because I'm a name, but then I man lifestyle and I man works here, it has been proven. You get me?
Seeing.
Yeah.
Yes, I give thanks, Honorable Priest Paul. This is Host Gabri Medin. I have met you in Shashamani. And
Rastafari.
Yes, I blessed and greetings to Ras Joseph as well, you know. And I want to express my deepest gratitude to the welcome that I them give I particularly Niaah Bingi House, you know. So I give thanks and hail up Sister Ijania. I know that she's not in Ethiopia now, but still may I send out give thanks and blessings, and you know, really admire the unity that I came and saw, particularly at the reasoning, you know, within the round table space. I man really was an inspiration for I, you know, and what I really learned from it is that it is just to reinforce the point of unity that Rastas need to bring with them to Shashamani, because in Shashamani you have nothing else to do but to unite. Can't bring your own personal dogma to make it make that be the thing, you know. You have to, it's like unity, and we see the item moving towards that direction and living within that I mentioned, and I man give thanks Rastafari as an inspiration to I as a youth. Yeah. So I really want to ask a question still, particularly to Priest Paul, seeing to the fact that you have been there longer. How easy is it for one to settle in Shashamani? Like if a Rastafari youth want to travel to Ethiopia, how easy is it for him to settle in the Shashamani land? Yeah.
Well, you know, things and time, sometimes it's ups and downs, you know. But nonetheless, when you really desire to come settle yourself, it not really, it not have no much, you can be settled. When you really desire to settle, but it's a collective thing.
Okay.
Yeah, because you have me really come and in depend him own to settle, and in batter, him gone all about, and him find himself in so many different kind of things. When that's where they know, if the council we have there now, a central point where one's come, to ask, to get information, who you go to, where you go, to get information about, then these things are collectiveness.
Okay.
You know, so if you want to read, say them want come settle, it depends upon collectiveness same way. It's easy, but it depends upon collectiveness.
Okay.
And you don't really find your hand in a wolf. You don't find yourself in the mouth of the wolf.
Yes,
Yeah, because the wolf is the same way too.
You know? So within a framework, right? Is there a collective foundation there that, for example, if I once have him playing fair already, right? And him say, okay, then I want to go Shashaman. Is there an outlet there that I want to link as a collective as we speak of? Is there already an institution there that represents that collective where I could come to that collective and they aid me or direct me in my settlement, basically?
Well, you will try so many avenues, my brethren, to really keep that, and the selfishness kind of break down all of them institute them a lot. Yeah? So, like you having a link now with the Bingy, with Russell Joseph now, who know what's really happening.
Yeah.
Yeah? Then him now maybe would have find you to say, well then, go to Mr. So-and-so, go to Russ so-and-so. You may come in and the same thing, you may end up you find the KRDC or whatever. Then maybe he would have direct you again to say, well, who we so and so. That's how it really rests right now. But the institute that we set up collectively for really say, represent the people. Because of the selfish individual kind of carnal self, them things they break down.
Okay.
So with having a link with the Bingy or with I, then that's how you know maybe you will find a true settlement.
Okay. So in terms of what advice you have for in terms of preparedness, like suppose one would have a skill, like him as a mason, a carpenter, are there means of employment for a skilled person, electrician, carpenters, masons, etc.?
Well, that's how I and I collectively really organize among ourselves. Because, yes, them things are needed here, but very rare Ethiopia now here really work certain way. We have to employ our own self. And this is how then we should have collectively organizing to say, well then, to put infrastructure in place. So when the carpenter, the electrician or the plumber come, then we eventually could have employ each other, you know. So this is what far and foremost we need to collectively organize among ourselves.
Okay.
Yeah? At first things break down because this is how when the land was given, this is how it's supposed to be set up. Yeah? But as we say, we don't really want to go back in too much of the, you know what I mean?
Yes,
but
sir.
at the point where we are today, this is the collectiveness we really need right now.
Yes,
we need to put things in place right now so as to facilitate all the architects and all of these people, you know,
Yeah.
We show the true self.
Yes, I. Yes, I. Give thanks.
Rastafari. My Lord.
Honorable.
Yeah. Still raining, my brothers? Rain still.
Yeah.
Seeing. We still.
Yeah, it's still raining.
I hear you. I want the ones to give regards to, Ras Maya and Ras Kawinta Saab, Sister Joanne, the one, Sister Ascali, the ones who are, backbone of the journey and pioneering work and keeping it together. Any greetings you want to pass to ones who might be hearing and not necessarily seeing?
Well, I give, for this early morning sip,
See.
that I could really, reason among ourselves. Because, in life, we have ups and downs in life still, but nonetheless the focus, we will always, steadfast on the focus still, and I'm like to send I'm greetings for the Bobo Shanti House and all the Rasses in Jamaica still, and mainly to I'm beloved brother, who I haven't seen too much years, I'm a sister them, and knowing that we hope one day, the Almighty Father will make I and I renew the family relationship again still, you know. Yeah, and love to the ICM way still, you know, and one perfect love to each and every one in Jamaica still,
yes, sir.
You know.
Rastafari.
Yeah.
Ras Joseph, you have any words you want to?
Yes, first and foremost, to the Niaah Bingi House, the other, certain individuals in there, Rasai Vai, Bingi Rai, Mogi Rai, Junior Negus, all the ones that watch the eyes, them activities with interest, although we're not going to play in it. What I would like to say to the item is the internet thing and discussing our dirty washing on it, that is not pleasing to the site. You know? So the item to look at that, but more strength, more love, keep the fire burning, and hurry up and send an ancient. That is to the Niaah Bingi House. To my Rastafari general, brethren in general, so one perfect love under the mighty shadow of Haile Selassie I wing. And to my personal family, so I don't forget you, although I am far away, you're still in my heart. Rastafari Selassie.
Rastafari. Ras Joseph.
Oh, one thing, Skubu. Skubu, remember your promise. We're still waiting for you. Give thanks.
Ras Joseph, Ras Joseph. Yeah, Gabri Medin here speaking. I just want to ask you to extend greetings to my beloved brethren at Niaah Bingi House, you know. I don't remember some of them names right now, especially the brethren from America, the bakery, doing the bakery, the young youth and thing.
Yeah.
Yes, and you know the local youth from I think Trinidad him come from, I think, or Barbados, yeah.
Barbados.
You look my Barbados brethren you there, yeah, a youth time player, yeah? And you look the next Asian FI. We used to take care of the Asian Igos. Yes, I just send greetings to the ones in FI man, Zane, and Rastafari love and blessings. And yellow priest ball and let's go all the current same way, you know, the positiveness and I don't know, I listen last year.
Again, we do get a strength, Rasta.
Was a Jai chant in Niaah Bingi in Shashamane at the Niaah Bingi tabernacle, you know. It was a powers, I tell you, them powers they make I and I become invincible in Babylon. King Selassie, I know.
Yeah, Ras Joseph, just and also Honorable Priest Paul, just to say that you know, coming forward from Shashamane, I think the climax of the exhibition there was really well coordinated, and I think the representation across the community, you know, was solid. We could have always seen more people turn out, but it's not size and numbers that do it. And just to say, continue the islandful and positive work. You know, given what's happening globally within I family, you know, it's good to see a level of genuine commitment and quality emerging in that way, especially where it matters most. So I'm encouraging the IDEM to go on, you know, blaze the fire and lead with that light, you know, out of Zion. So yeah, peace and love to all of those who are there, and please give them our best regards. I don't know if we want to, you know, shout up anyone else, but we're going to break shortly. So once more, thank you for joining us, Ras Joseph and Priest Paul.
Yes, I Jabi the item itinerary.
And the item must keep this maybe, you know, just to try to really keep a momentum with Shashamane and Jamaica, because Jamaica have a name in Ethiopia which is like no other else country not have yourself. Yeah? So to having this kind of relationship, I think it's something very important and significant that you all to take in consideration, Rastafari.
Yes, I give thanks to Sound of Fire.
True.
My lord.
All right, my brothers, give thanks. All right, there we've just heard from individuals in Shashamane, Ras Joseph and Priest Paul, who are two active leaders from different mansions who have been working on the ground together. Not just alone, there's a fairly large contingent of administrators, and when it matters most, they seem to be able to come together and demonstrate that oneness. As some of you would know, Ethiopia's Rastafari community is a global collection, you know. Over 25 different nationalities reside in Shashamane, from across the Caribbean, Europe, America, South America, and they're trying their best to bring that collection together in a purposeful way. The Niaah Bingi doing some wonderful work, you know, tabernacle, well positioned, nicely cultivated around it, services such as the bakery operational in an active way, which brings some income, and then they have the possibility of offering some kind of bed and breakfast to those who pass through at really very cheap rates, if not zero rates, based on contribution. So, you know, it's a upful service in several ways, and the wider Ethiopian community really cleaves to that space. As early as daybreak, they start coming in, and they don't leave until very, very late. So, good work happening there in Shashamane. We're going to go to a break and then return.
Let's go. I carry you, Jaja, deep down in my soul. 46 chromosomes of baby's life. That's just the reality.
Yeah, this is the cutting edge. I'm Jahlani Niaah, sitting in for Mutabaruka. With me is Gabri Medin in the studio. You're hearing more sounds from Midnight, When She Loves, from the anthology album. Interesting conversation with Ethiopia just now, you know, and we understand that pioneering development as is what is happening in Shashamane represents is not an easy task, you know, and I don't think I've heard Priest Paul speak so passionately.
Yeah.
But we know that he's doing solid work over the 23 years that he has been there. And certainly he has the respect of Ethiopians.
Very impressive.
Yeah. All right. I have an announcement about a think tank. July 20, 2014 is the centenary of the founding of the UNIA. IRFM will observe this milestone with a think tank at Liberty Hall in Kingston through its award-winning Pan-African magazine program, the African Forum Running African. The program will bring together more than 24 of the nation's academics, Pan-Africanists, religious leaders, scholars, and opinion makers for a symposium on Mwalimo Garvey at the library at the Liberty Hall in Kingston. The think tank will be aired live on IRFM between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. and will also be streamed live on the internet at IRFM.net. Symposium aims to empower Jamaicans, especially youths, and to encourage, enrich, and enlighten the nation about this great Jamaican who is one of the greatest philosophers of the 21st century, as acclaimed by Time magazine. That's the think tank next Sunday, the 20th of July, at the Liberty Hall Auditorium in Kingston. We'll let you know more about that as time goes by. We want to move into what we're going to describe as our ganja talk section, our final section, our herbs talk. Really thinking through the global developments on the herb, where we are at with this conversation about ganja. nationally, and where it's like to go internationally. I mean, and this can be at several levels.
And where is Rastafari located within that context and that conversation?
Yeah. And, interestingly, we talk about repatriation and issues related. There's also the conversation about ganja. In particular, as it relates to Ethiopia, this issue is not on the table, not on the cards yet. The fines related to ganja possession are very strict in Ethiopia. With the brethren you talked about from Barbados, there's someone who's in
I met a young brethren in Barbados, in Shashamane. He's from Barbados, a young Rastafari youth. His father was incarcerated and serving some time behind bars for possession of marijuana. And I mean, I'm there in Ethiopia, and I'm going to downtown Ethiopia, and this young emperor is carrying me around, and then him suddenly say, I need to visit my father. Where's your father? He's in prison. I'm like, these type of realities create bewilderment sometimes.
And in some instances, it becomes worse because, ganja is not widely known among native Ethiopians. So the Jamaican Rastafari are somewhat targeted.
Very much easily so. Even myself, if I wasn't very cautious, because when you're in Ethiopia, you feel like you're liberated. Like you're in Shashamane, you feel like you're on the top of the world. I mean, burning a spliff in Shashamane feels different than burning a spliff in Jamaica. You feel like you can just walk around the entire Shashamane and not...
and that is not true.
And not aware that, herb is illegal and there's a heavy fine here. Right?
So, the global situation, because that is still a struggle that has not begun to come forward as an issue politically for those community members in Ethiopia. They're still working out their land issues and bigger priorities. So herb, in fact, most of them accept the strictures that the society give and kind of work with it as a general thing. But the fact is that as we move forward, we're going to see that issue as having more importance also on the continent of Africa, because as more of us move in that direction, we're going to also want to have the same rights that...
Yeah, I can see it happening. As a Martin plan, I say, ganja is Rasta twin brother, and as you say, as the agitation develop and stuff, and the unity start happening more, obviously, that will be a big agenda, a big item on the agenda within Rasta, within African context, basically. And I mean, it's a very profound thing, because in majority of African countries, there's a very strict attitude towards marijuana possession and usage. Which is kind of ironical for many Rasta. Like we are in Jamaica, sometimes we all burn a spliff, police all pass, and they appear in the mind. Not just some Rasta to burn a spliff. But in Ethiopia, it's like, and in Africa generally, it's a big thing, and you got jail and prison. I tell you.
Well, remember, that
for a spliff.
The colonial regard for ganja is global politics. So, even though, everywhere imported that political attitude to confining and criminalizing the herb. So that's a part of it. But our own local direction now, many are saying literally it is too little and too late. That the suggestions that have been put in front of us as the quantity are completely impractical.
It's 2 ounces.
2 ounces, and if you're going to Niaah Bingi, how long is 2 ounces going to last? One individual, and there's also the issue of how do you acquire this, because the issue of sellers and traders is not nowhere tabled. In many countries across the world, provisions are made for those who wish to to grow their own plants. In some places, it's as few as 6. In some places, it's as many as a dozen or more. We have not heard that conversation taking place locally. We're going to open up our phone lines eventually and invite ones to, share ideas with us as to some of the thinking and certainly some of the interest that is publicly held as it surrounds this issue. Just to remind you of our phone line numbers, 974-5051, 974-5079, 974-5043, and then of course we have toll-free 1-888-991-4152. So, as we said, a few things that we've put on the table since evening, and you might wish to raise some others. But this is the ganja talk section. We are trying to facilitate the public discussion that is yet to happen. Is this something that we all want to have a decision about? Should it be put like how some in the United States? In the United States, it was put on the ballot in some states.
Yeah, man, should be a referendum.
Yeah, man, so voters could say what it is.
Yeah, man, I fully endorse that that initiative.
Is it that we have a caller? Good evening, good morning, rather.
Pleasant good morning, family.
Blessed, my brother.
Blessed.
Give thanks for the reason,
Seeing, give thanks, my brother.
Yeah, man, real Rastafari reason why I'm going way of life, you see me?
Seeing.
On a different continent.
You have any particular comments on the herb issue?
Ganja. Herb.
Yeah, how you feel about the proposed legislation, and what would you wish to see that you don't see yet?
I am a big man thing, our way of life, read the Bible, and it is a part the scripture, whatever. You understand?
Seeing.
So they must know what best, and them have them lab, whatever. For medical use, you see, do perform a wonderful job.
So you're not in support of the smoking casually recreational?
To them talk about the lungs and whatever the health. You understand?
Seeing.
I look on that part of it there, the danger it there, whatever, the lungs cancer, you understand?
Yeah, but Bridget.
So like for all I sit like a TR, you understand?
So Dave, what about cigarette smoking? People don't smoke cigarettes.
Oh, that man, we not deal with them.
Yeah, well,
but cigarette not illegal.
But
listen, man. You see, the worst part with the ganja, when we want it free up, even like sometimes when me's a trench town, man, concrete jungle, but we're up on a different side now on the island for certain circumstances. Me's a real concrete jungle, man, trench town, the Great Wagga did.
Seeing.
Which part we there now a minute? Which part we reach?
You tell me how you feel about the herb and the smoking and why you don't support that.
Now, if a man want to smoke it, him smoke it. Me not smoke it, you see me? But me know the cigarette.
Hello? It seems as though we lost that. That's one of the conversations that we have to be careful of now. The concern that some persons have that medical ganja is different from what is smoked, and that smoking ganja is less than medical, or does not have medical or medicinal effects in consuming it that way. It's only something that's dangerous to your health. And all of the top researchers conclude that in spite of the problems with smoke, one of the quickest ways of accessing the beneficial aspects of the ganja is smoke. It goes straight into the lungs, which sends it straight into the bloodstream in that way. So it's one of those things that hopefully the research will help to guide us as to, you know.
I also think there need to be more public forum in terms of educating people on the difference between medical marijuana and recreational marijuana.
Or usage, which is really the issue.
Generally, usage of marijuana or marijuana is being used and purposes, etc.
We have another caller. Good morning. Welcome to Cutting Edge.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning, my brother.
Okay.
Morning, sir.
Point is that smoking marijuana, I don't think that it should be a problem to anyone. I think that, like, even a 1 ounce or a 2 ounce, one's supposed to have, like, can travel with wherever I want to go, but not in the public. You understand? Don't smoke it in the public, like, you know, it's a town there, not everybody can go stand the smell of it or perfume and this. So you have the 2 ounce or a ounce.
And that is enough for you? You think that 1 to 2 ounces is good? That it don't require no more? No. As a smoker going through, but different, you know, like legalization now, it would have to go over to the government. They have to build a firm. Farmers, they would have to have them license and get them field check and all those things. You know, drugs is a gun game, right? I see what you're saying. You're saying that just the economy itself is likely to create other related problems like crime and violence.
Right, because a man to have a ganja field, they're going to have weapons to guard it, and then everybody going to just want to be drugs man, and then this one going to fight against this one, that one going to fight against this one. This man will say, you must stop business. So when the government build a firm now, they plant it and buy it from them and let them get the money. That means that the guns won't be able to flow so through the community so easy. You understand? Then we'll still have money, can eat and drink and enjoy them.
I hear. You know, the interesting thing is that we have so much fears that have been brought to surface based on how this substance has been treated. And I think a part of the conversation is that many of these fears are going to be addressed if the issue is made legal and more available. So the concern about criminalization is not necessarily a logical step, because part of the criminal aspects of it is the illegal conditions that operate around it. But I hear what you're saying. You're thinking that people are predial larceny, I suppose, is the concern. You know, people are going to be competing for fields, etc. Yeah, I mean, I suppose we need to fast track some examples and see what exactly. You know, I heard a report on the news a couple of weeks ago where there was a suggestion that since the announcement that there was an increase in consumption, 2 weeks later they were saying that. And my argument is that there was no way that they could have garnered that information based on what they were showing us on the television. The measurement of that, whether people were using it more in the last 2 weeks because of the announcement, was misguiding to the public. I think what we are seeing certainly is more acceptance by those who have smoked discreetly that they smoke, because they now know that there is no major stigma around it. But you know, in the countries where ganja has been legal for years, the usage rate has not necessarily increased, and the fear of children taking it up and all those things are all unfounded, is what I'm saying.
Go on. But if it just legalized, right? Like legalized to the whole country and everybody just have it to do what they want, it's going to bring a problem. It has to bring a problem. So government would have to just build a hub and let whosoever in the business have them thing licensed.
So you see like a ministry of ganja then? You know,
just like the factory. You have a factory, you take it in, you respond, right? That means so when the shipment why make no man can exchange no gun for no weed or no this for no weed. You understand?
I'm hearing you. So your major concern is how this move can potentially cause other criminal-related problems.
Right.
I think it's likely to reduce it as well. I mean, it's a biconditional effect. At the same time, there's a whole lot of criminality that will go, that is already in there, based on the move.
Right.
You know, so who knows? It might be a give-take situation. You know, that you lose one and gain the other.
It's going to work, man. Going to work.
It's going to work. You know, after work, is that going to get us out of IMF clutches if we are courageous enough? You know, His Majesty tell us about faith, courage, and a just cause. You know, the healing of the nation must be just.
For US currency, Jamaica gone up further, because we dream have to push the country up further. It's going to work.
I hear you.
Yeah, I share that aspiration. It's going to work.
Yeah, man. Give thanks, my brother. Thanks for calling.
But Jahlani, my own whole take on this herb issue, as old Rastaman call it, herb, because I never call it holy herb, ganja, and marijuana. Babylon come give it them name there. And I look within the whole history, within herbs, within Jamaica, or Rastafari, where the group of people who put herb forward within Jamaica consciousness on a significant level. We know about the association with Indians and whatever. But Rastaman is the one who make Jamaican people know about herb. And we're persecuted significantly and severely because I use herb. Raid pinnacle, bundle pinnacle on the pretext of man a plant herb up there. And all these type of thing. Lo and behold, the entire world, apart from Jamaica, start recognizing herb now and the value of the herb. And most people in the world who smoke herb attach herb to Rasta and attach Rastafari to herb. So within Jamaica context now, me know says this is a capitalist world I living in. This herb, as what the Virgin say, I go work and it must work. Marijuana or ganja, as what them call it, will legalize in Jamaica whether next year, next 2 years, 4 or 5 years, it will happen. Because the whole world will do it and Jamaica will follow. Soon, or very soon, even though them are going away. However, my thing is now, what about the Rastaman who are being persecuted over the decades because of marijuana? And where is Rasta? What is Rasta doing presently in the whole negotiation in terms of having marijuana? Because I'm telling you this, you know, if Jamaica start to manufacture marijuana, you know, they might use a Rasta image, you know. I can tell a man that enough people come Jamaica because of Rasta and marijuana. Seeing? Or Rasta benefit from it, or Rasta will benefit from it. Is this a next venture of exploiting Rastafari image? I mean, I need someone who is very privileged and who is at the forefront and the cutting edge in terms of this negotiation and agitation on a macro level within the Jamaican society. Yeah, man, just call up and black us on because many things may hear about this marijuana debate. Many things. Me say all maroon soon start deal marijuana on a macro level soon. And no one can stop them because maroon have them own land. So, what is happening? You know? Rasta shall just sit aside and what is happening? Or what is, I mean, I need to know.
Well, I mean, I hear what you have said and yeah, let's hope that we can get some more insights from our callers. But there are a few initiatives that are emerging among I&I, perhaps not enough, because the first thing you raise is the criminalization of ganja and the relation to those who have suffered, you know, whether it's police brutality, incarceration, fines, etc. And the conversation about reparation is really one that you're bringing into being, because if it is that the state is now being made to recognize that it has been wrong about a substance which has been criminalized, it should be asked to in some way admit that wrong and correct that wrong. You know, I mean, the correction should be more than just the legislative adjustment,
which is polite violence.
Exactly.
in a slap on the wrist, 2 hounds, or whatever.
And so the mobilization within the community of I&I to ensure that not just the handling of the commercial and future usage, but also the past issues, historical atrocities that I have. You know, Rastaman get him locks cut off with buckle, and
for a spliff.
You know, Peter Tosh tell you how him brutalized and completely humiliated because of a spliff. And that is a consistent narrative, not just locally, internationally. You know, your Rastafari and Ganja, as Plano says, is twin brother. It's the conversation has just started, and it don't begin to reach nowhere yet. You know, hopefully, I can help to ensure that we are consistently at the table and a part of decision processes in a beneficial way. You know. Yeah, we're going to go to break and then come forward with the final half-hour segment, and then let's hear from you in our final segment, your ideas about the whole program, but more in particular the what I would say the IMF solution or substitution in front of us that we're still pussyfooting about as far as legislation. Too little and too late is what people are saying. So phone lines are open. When we come back from break, we go and hear what you have to say.
Reggae Radio, Irie FM.
Yeah, I find my majesty, I'm stomping black and remove. You know,
yeah, Keenly by Midnight. The man says, smoke not so greenly, you know. So it's a fresh thing that is not recommended for smoking that much. You must say, it mustn't be too green, you know, when you choose to smoke it. You know, there's an advertisement that concerned me. The choose to ad. I don't know if you hear it. It's a USAID.
Oh yeah.
Family planning ad.
Yeah, man, it's a conspiracy.
Yeah, man, them have the youngest faces, the young children who they are encouraging to choose to. Okay, so we know condom out there a long time, but one of the two choices is this injection. Something that them don't encourage in developed countries. But in underdeveloped countries, which have birth population issues. Remember the same population control issue? Yeah,
it's a part of the whole scheme.
They're funded.
And if you pay close attention, most of these things is occurring in black developing countries.
Yeah, man.
Where black people are concentrated. I can remember there was an issue in Israel with the Ethiopian Jews. They have some issue like that where people them inject. I mean, probably don't really link to this birth control thing, but it's something to deal with depopulation. Because when they give these women these injection, they can't get pregnant. It prevent them from being
many instances they have problems and complications.
And these type of things. So it left me to say, you know, Babylon trying to control the world, and therefore we have to kill out a number of people, prevent birth from happening, you know.
And you know, interestingly, they now have male injections as well. So in the past, whereas you know a man was relatively hormone free in that sense, there is now the option that they are directing to men in the feminist dispensation. The man should be able to. You understand what I'm saying? Man. But the message, you know, choose two, and one of the two is a chemical that goes in the body for 90 days at a time, and suppresses the normal cycle, and that's a part of the promotion of the USAID and the National Family Planning Board. And then there is the convenient birth control, the 24 or 72 hour thing that is 12 and 13-year-old children. It seems to me on the advertisements you'll see billboards, and their suggestion is, if you have an accident, you get this birth control. The whole world is in trouble, as Ras Ilawi always says, and no one don't know God anymore. Phone lines are open. 974-5051, 974-5079, 974-5043, and the toll-free 1-888-899-1452. We have a caller?
Yeah, perfect love and fraternal greetings, Niaah.
Perfect love, my brother. How are you?
Rastafari.
Give thanks.
Yes, sir.
Christ is blessed. To the unlimited powers of His Imperial Majesty, Haile Selassie the First. It is good to be here. Give thanks to the Continental Link. Give thanks to the Midnight Waxes. Give thanks to the information flowing,
Yeah, man, give thanks.
Concerning the herb, as the Virgin said, it is polite violence. Even amidst the violence that is still happening, because the herb, the people are still dragged before the court. As we speak, people are still in prison for herb. People, there has not been a total expunge of people's criminal records, and things like that, So it's just a polite violence,
We are nowhere yet, really.
Yes. We want to raise another matter, though. We want to raise a matter of economics.
See.
The Rastafari nation, globally, we are too theoretically, priceless. Theoretically priceless. I won't even say rich because it's priceless, to be so materially poor, poverty-stricken, The imbalance is appalling. And even, His Imperial Majesty, he spoke about thrift, THRIFT, which we don't even seem to overstand, because we haven't implemented it. And it is, it is something that the Rastafari nation needs to tackle. It is something that the Rastafari nation needs to tackle with urgency.
So my brother, you've talked about thrift, and you're directing that as a critique of I&I.
Yes,
but you couldn't be saying that we're not thrifty because there is clear evidence of that. But is what you're saying? How is it that we are still where we are? How we apply this thrift? Explain yourself a little, because some would say that is I&I have that creative
independent self-help
survival. I want you to say it clearly.
My beloved Virgin, collectively we have failed.
We're not thrifty collectively. I get you now.
And if it is not collective, then what? We are building a nation, not a hut.
Very much so.
Yeah, and we need to be very serious about it, We know that other people will be on the line, so we won't keep the line holding much longer.
All right, my brother, it's good to hear from you.
Give thanks to the input, beloved Rastafari.
Yeah, I mean, a potent statement. We're building a nation and not a hut. And our community has the added unique issue of being a genuinely global community. When you talk about Rastafari, you're no longer just talking about a small group of individuals in Jamaica. You're talking about people from all walks of life that hold this faith now. We have another caller. Hello, good night, good morning rather, Cutting Edge.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, we're hearing you.
Yes. Rasta, for years, I've been talking about unity, right? But I don't think there's been any practical expression of this unity.
Of this unity or this
of the unity? The unity that Rasta speak of. Rasta, basically, and I'm speaking as Rasta too, we have failed to demonstrate this unity. And we have failed to cause it to appear in practical terms to others. Right? So the real question is, how Rasta how we as Rastas see ourselves. And as such, how will we know? And this is going to be critical in the whole ganja issue, right? Rasta, I think, we see ourselves as some folklore, as like flowers or Dunn's River. We don't see ourselves as being practical, a practical force capable of mobility and capable of creating economic wealth and affecting economics and affecting policies. We have been pussyfooting around the thing. We are joking as Rasta, and we sit by and wait for policies, and then we come and we talk. You understand? And here is a real opportunity for Rastas to grab the thing by the horn and to collectively deal with herbs and to program the thing so that they can, for once, have an economic voice. You understand? To say, to speak up and to stand up and speak. And when they speak, they have a voice and a powerful voice. And thus start the process of being able to affect policies as a group.
Yeah, well, you're talking ultimately about collective administration.
No, we're not about ultimate, nothing. We're talking about no.
Yeah, when I say ultimate, I don't mean future. I just mean that that's what it boils down to. Collectively is the challenge, and
we talk too much.
Yeah,
and if it means that I personally go and go on to every Rasta house and bring people together, I think I might have to do it. It's a joke thing. Rasta cannot unite on simple issues. And then something where Rasta implement and bring into Jamaica. We're sitting by and waiting for people to tell us what to do with it. When if a million Rasta turn up and say, look, so we are going now. That's how everybody going to have to go.
Seeing.
So we're just standing and looking at the thing, and we don't have no voice.
As much as we are talking too much, we don't have no voice.
We don't have no voice because if you don't have economics, if you don't, land is the base of power, and by extension, economics. So if we don't have any economical voice, we just talking to ourselves.
Seeing.
We're just whispering in the bush about the bush.
All right, so we're back at square one, so to speak.
We don't want back at square. We want to start something. We want to move. We want to implement something today. Yes, today.
Seeing. Any singular suggestions? I mean, you say we talk too much, but I figure that you might have a thought that might push us in a good direction. I don't know, what's his name? Planner. So we need a new faculty of understanding. We need to meet as a group and decide. And we don't want the faction and the scatterness and all of this. Everybody needs to decide, to move as one practically. Yeah.
You understand? To let their yes be yes and their no be no.
See.
You understand? And see the big picture and throw away the little foolishness them about who wear turban from who wear shoes or who know this and who know that. It is time that we do something.
Action time.
Action, man.
Serious thing.
You understand? Action. We need to lead action more than to be sitting aside and waiting. For somebody to act, and then we just complain. We have a whole heap of Rasta in our world,
Yeah, man. Increasingly, the community is
Jamaica.
well embedded.
We started out with Jamaica, weed, and we're going to make some rich politician come and take it over, and we just get the smoke out. It's foolishness.
Seriousness.
All right? Give thanks.
Yes,
all right, my brother. Thanks for the call.
Yeah, so I'm reflecting on the two previous callers, right? One emphasizing on the need to be thrifty, and the other emphasizing on the need to achieve that real unity, right? And
action time
and stuff, right? one of the things that I realized that kind of create a problem within this unity that we are trying to create, we still haven't arrived at a place where we can minimize the significance and dogma and personal or religious dogma and penetrate mostly on other factors that are common to us, you know. I mean, we need to take an example from His Majesty and the Organization African Unity. The Organization African Unity, in its inauguration, made up of, comprised of over 50 African independent states. These 50 African independent states may have different religious and probably even political and economic ideology. However, His Majesty was able to emphasize upon them that, you know, their differences in religion and lifestyles and these things should not be no insuperable obstacle that can prevent them who have a common cause and objective, which is African unity, from coming together. Rastafari need to finally fulfill the command of His Majesty to organize and centralize, right? And bring forth unity within organization. That is the next issue. Unity within the governance of I&I centralization. That is where I&I need it right now, and we need to overcome that obstacle so we can tread on forward and achieve our other objectives, such as repatriation, reparation, and these type of things. We need common voices within these negotiations, basically.
You know, all which is said and done, though, if you have a community that has not worked out a clear and firm financial and economic basis, then it is going to find itself in a problem for sustaining its direction and vision in an autonomous way, you know. That, I mean, if you look at Garvey as the forerunner in thought to Garveyism as a thought that inspired Rastafari, you know, Garvey desperately was trying to concretize this economic foundation. And I would argue that Howell concretized that.
Yeah.
You know, Howell was able to establish a financial base for the community, which is why his community grew in the way that it did and was well supported. In fact, Howell became the fulfillment of Garvey's prophecy. Give us 20 years unmolested and you see what we can achieve. Howell didn't even get 20 years unmolested. You know, by 54 they were at him. So 14 years and they were up in tearing down that structure. The point I'm making, though, is that we consistently, through our sustainable development, have identified economies. And we are seeing those economies becoming lucrative, ganja being the latest one, but the whole naturopathic industry, herbal industries, food, you know, we hail up the brethren from reggae pot. But, you know, this food industry is a major opportunity for Rastafari. There are very few late opening Rastafari vegetarian food places in Kingston. I'm glad I reached Ochereus and they're somewhere home until 10 o'clock. In Kingston, that's hard to find, and Kingston is a
very difficult to find.
Much bigger city, you know. But I'm saying that as the society progresses, the need for healthy options, food options, is going to increase, you know. Make your food be medicine and medicine be your food is part of I&I philosophy. We have a caller. Good morning. Welcome to Cutting Edge.
Yes, morning.
Yeah, morning.
Blessed.
Dr. Upton.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man.
Yeah, the most right honorable I do, Prophet Peace and King Dr. Upton. Now listen, my suggestion, I champion the marijuana cards. Youth. The island Jamaica, born owning this island. The marijuana is an Indian and maroon what do I call it now? Tradition. So slaves cannot handle it, because what they want to do is to take it from the Maroon and the Indian to give it to the slave masters. Because right now the government is benefiting. Jamaica is a Roman Catholic organization that operates on the Upton Island, which is this island. This is not Jamaica. Jamaica is a Roman Catholic organization. Those claim to be Rastas want to take it to give to the colonial masters. Right? That's a Rasta. This is not a Rasta thing. This is a Maroon and Indian thing. The Maroon and Indian have the right, because they're indigenous people. Right? So what they need to do, my suggestion to them is to set health justice ministry. Right? And the marijuana process should be done by the Maroon and the Indians, planting it and selling it, the colonial slaves, and getting the opportunity to sell it overseas, because the Indians and the Maroon have the right to marijuana. We will not allow the Jamaicans to rob the Maroon and the Indians of their birthright. And that's what wanted to happen.
So what about the slaves? They are enslaved. Them don't have no access.
The slaves are criminals. The slaves are Christians, and Christians are convicts, because it's conviction why they baptize.
I see what you're saying.
Right, brother? So the marijuana is just a new drug that will be put on the market for the corpus et mentis, because the slaves are corpus et mentis. All Jamaicans are corpus et mentis, mean walking dead. They're corpse. So they cannot handle this thing. Right? The Rastas, the so-called Rastas, because they tell me that we are not Rastas, we are crocodiles on the locks, hiding to get the privilege to cover you and your people, Mr. Lee. So there are a lot of mix up in it. So these lobbies will not work until they get to the grassroots, the Maroon and the Indians. And the Indian government right now are undermined, because the embassies have been torn down, and the kids have been raped and brutalized by Jamaicans, because the constable force is Jamaican, colonial. So the laws are there still. So they are beating down the Indians and the Maroon, robbing them, raping them, abducting their children, and all these things. So this marijuana thing is very dangerous in angling it. I think Jamaicans should pay for these crimes that are done against the Maroon and the Indians. Because remember Christopher Columbus came here as a pirate, and those that he came from Africa was pirates too. The Africans that came with Christopher Columbus were pirates, black pirates on their ears still, and telling lies. What they say that was done to them by Christopher Columbus is lie. It's what they do to the Indians and the Maroons.
All right, we have to pause at that. We want to squeeze in 2 more calls before we end, but give thanks.
I said give thanks to the warriors. Yeah?
Yes, sir. Bless it.
Yeah, we're almost at the end of the stint. Medin, I remember when you went to Ethiopia, your mother called because she's afraid and fretting, so you reach Africa, might not come back, you know. In fact, it was interesting. Sister Joanne said your mother called from what? Overseas.
From England, yeah.
Early one morning, because she's fretting because you're gone to the worst place on earth in her mind and might not come back. Well, I think we have much more to share to kind of provide some enlightenment and further insights about Ethiopia and the kind of work that you are doing and your interest in research, especially the connection between the church and Jamaica. But we give thanks that you were able to make that trod as a young Rastafari youth, and more so to come forward and share some insights. I'm sure there are those who will find it inspiring and appreciate the words that you have said, you know.
Well, give thanks again, you know, to His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie, you know, to provide this venue, a medium that I could come here and just share a little with ones and ones about I experience in Ethiopia. It was just for 8 days, so, within the 8 days, still learn a lot and see a lot, and it was very regretful leaving. Honestly, it was very difficult.
Not long enough.
Not long enough, and there was a temptation. Where are you going? Where are you going? Stay,
It's too little and too late, kind of thing.
Yeah, type of thing and thing. So, me give thanks still and thing, and we'll want to return to Ethiopia soon, and not only me alone, but it would be good if a contingency of I could make a way forward, So give thanks again, and one big up members of Rastafari Youth Initiative Council. Don't know Host Gabri Medin, right here representing same way and thing. Big up all of my brothers and sisters in them and thing. Rastafari Mountain. Big up Joanna, Judah, who listen to the program Rastafari, and big up Debbie Belcher, who they kind of give me a inspiration and a motivation to even make the child to stay and think. So Rastafari love and blessing and protection,
Yes, sir. Give thanks. We just want to thank Dr. Donald Davis, Iman Black, who joined us in the early part of the program. Ras Jr. Negus, telling us about evictions. The brethren from Shashamane, Priest Paul and Ras Joseph, for getting up, extra early to assist. Our production person, Joy Morgan, our engineer, O'Brien, it's Jahlani Niaah, Ailani, Bongo Niaah, Jabulani in some instances, giving thanks. I'm not sure when Muta is back, but it has been my pleasure sitting in for him. The next
big up Ras Mutabaruka too.
Yeah, man. Safe travel forward, and the ones them await for you. I think it's Ruta tomorrow, Thursday. You say it go? Yeah, man. Well, this is not Ruta. This is Jahlani. Wishing you well, and perfect love, peace and love, my brothers and sisters.
Blessings.
26 spark, man, I try single frame. It's better to have it and don't need it, more than to need it and don't have it, star.